All right. Well, again, thank everyone for joining online. And Dennis, thanks so much for giving us your time today. We're going to be talking about how we can find success online, and something that's near and dear to my heart is growing your online food business. So I'm excited that Dennis is going to share what he knows with us, and I'm going to let you take it away, Dennis. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And hello, everybody. I'm the director of Accelerate Rural NC, which is a grant-funded rural business accelerator, kind of nominally headquartered at ECU, even though I have not physically been on campus in 1 year or thereabouts. We've done it all online, and we work with small rural businesses, many of whom turn out to be especially food businesses, which is a real logical thing for, particularly in our case, in Eastern North Carolina, the farming is by far the biggest industry in our area. So today I'm going to go through what we use in our program, and our program is free and it is open to all of you should you decide to enroll. It's a 10-week course that it meets 1 hour a day, Monday through Thursday by Zoom. And we have mentors and guest speakers that make it worth your while. You don't have to just listen to me the whole time. But with that, and please at any time, if you have a question or a thought, please don't hesitate. I'm not really good at keeping track of chat and all that kind of stuff. So if somebody, Chris,
Dennis,
or somebody, yeah.
I will take a look at the chat box for you.
Thank
So if somebody likes to put questions in chat, please feel free to do that, and I'll keep an eye on that and point those out as they come along.
Okay. So everybody, I think, realizes, or maybe you don't realize, but online sales are booming. And I got this statistic from the Specialty Food Association report that just came out, I believe, last week or fairly recently. And it said that online sales were up 80% from 2019 to 2020. My guess is when they look at the statistics for 2020, that number is going to be something like 300% for the year 2020, or even bigger. And it just so happens that the #1 category of growth is food. It's often couched in terms of grocery or other labels, but essentially it's food that people consume at home. And that a number that was thrown at me by one of my speakers, I don't know if it's true or where he got the statistic, but I like it because it's kind of descriptive. He said before the COVID shutdown, 1 out of 1,000 Americans had ordered food online. And after or during the COVID period, 1 out of 3 Americans had ordered online food. So, like I said, I don't have the facts behind that, but it's pretty impressive. At any rate, it's a large increase. So, what I wanted to talk to you about is what steps should you take now? I'm just going to assume you're starting from scratch, even though I know many of you already have moved in this direction. But just kind of bear with me, and I'll demonstrate some things for you. Okay, #1. I've been teaching my course now. I think we've had 100 companies go through, and we've looked at all kinds of different e-commerce tools and websites. And I'm going to unabashedly tell you that you should build a Shopify website. Let me save you the time and trouble of looking at all the alternatives. There are some that are more expensive that maybe apply to your situation, but I personally don't think you can go wrong by building a Shopify website. And what this is about is really your brand, your product. You control it. It's your website. Any deals that you make with partners and so forth drive business to your website. So to me, that's a real logical first step. Just to give you an idea of Shopify use, right now there's 2.3 million Shopify sites live around the world. In the United States is about 1.6 million. So you can just see kind of numbers, and it's obviously really grown quite significantly. And this statistic goes through April of 2021. Second idea, join several marketplaces. Okay, so what's a marketplace? I'm going to try to do something tricky here. We'll see if it works. So there are a number of marketplaces you might be familiar with. I think most people are familiar with Amazon. Surprisingly, Amazon is actually a marketplace as opposed to a single brand retailer. About 60-some%, some people say 70% of the sales on Amazon are actually individual small businesses. So let's see if this works, and we'll give it a try. Can you all see my screen of top online marketplaces?
Yes, we got it.
Great. So this is going to blow your mind. And I'm not going to, I promise I'm not going to go through all of that. But the definition of a marketplace is where many different sellers and buyers are transacting on a common platform. That's really kind of the key. So here's a list, and I'm going to supply this link to Chris so he can post it if you have a way to access this stuff. But Amazon is the #1 marketplace in the world, and it does 5.2 billion with a B visits per month when this report was done. Another one you may not have thought about, eBay. eBay is almost 2 billion visitors a month, 1.7 billion a month. And then it kind of goes through some other countries, which we'll talk about, but some of these you may be familiar with, some you may never have heard of before. Walmart is our next US one that we come across. Walmart has now opened up Walmart.com to individual sellers, especially because of COVID. They're copying the Amazon model. So Walmart right now, Walmart.com, there are actually more small business sellers on Walmart.com than there are Walmart products by quite a margin. Another one some of you've heard of is Etsy. Etsy's another marketplace for certain kinds of products. I'll go down this list a little bit more. Target, also wide open for small businesses. Just looking through here real quick at some that I'm familiar with. Some of you may be familiar with these, some of these may not. Kroger, believe it or not, Kroger has a separate site from Kroger.com. It's called Kroger Ship. So you might be able to sell your products on Kroger. I had not looked into that. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I was surprised to see that they had a separate marketplace. I'm not aware of any other grocery store that's done that. Anyway, you kind of go through all this, and I'll supply this list so you can see. Barnes and Noble. You know, I don't know if they sell food, but they do accept small business people, and the list goes on and on and on. So as you can see, there are quite a few marketplaces that you can take advantage of. Okay, and you can see my screen still, hopefully.
Yep, right? We're all good. We're all good.
Okay, good, because my little green thing is gone, so I can't tell what's working and what isn't. Okay, next thing, what should you do? Use free Google services. We're going to try our little screen thing again here. So we had a speaker come to our class who is an expert on Google, and he's 21 years old. He's been working with Google since he was 17. So he's pretty young. I'm sorry? Okay. Anyway, he gave a presentation, and I have to say, it just absolutely blew my mind and blew the mind of everyone in the class. And everyone who has been to our class, in fact, now uses Google because of the statistics and the outcomes that we have gotten from some of this. The first one I'm going to show you, and all of these are free for the most part. Some aren't, but most of them are. The first one is called Google My Business. Without getting into all the details, it allows you to create a business profile, and that will put you on Google Maps. It will put you in Google searches for your zip code, for your area. Tell a real quick story about that. So we had one of our clients was had a video that they were using to promote their site, and it was getting about 100 views a day historically. He added his site to Google My Business after the class where this guy gave his presentation. Within 1 week, he is now up to 20,000 views a day for free on his website. Now, I do not promise those kind of results, but that's pretty cool. I mean, that's big. And the other thing is, if you do have a physical store, or you partner with a physical store, get them to put this on here too, because your product will be featured even if it's not your store. And you'll see over here on the far right, Google for Retail, free listing of your product. It goes on Google Shopping, which is an emerging place. So I can't really overemphasize how good these free Google services are, and the numbers that our people in our class have achieved for free are simply astounding numbers. Google Ads cost money. Google for Small Business is a free plan where they'll help you figure out which Google services make sense for your particular product. And they have lots of other things too. They have videos and all kinds of stuff. Of course, they own YouTube. All of us use YouTube, quite a bit. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Okay. So we went through that. I actually went to the website. Okay, here's my big thing, and this is something you may not be familiar with. And it's called live streaming e-commerce. And what this means is you can go live with your products and sell your product directly from a live stream without people having to go to your website or anywhere else. They can buy directly from the live stream. So I'm going to show you one of our companies. This is a company called Booze Dogs. Terrible name, but great product. They basically make liquor-infused hot dogs and hamburgers and brats. Of course, there's no liquor by the time it's done because it's cooked in terms of alcohol, but it retains the flavor, and some people like that. So I'm going to show you a quick example of what that looks like. Now, this is not live. This is recording, but it'll give you an idea how it works. If I can turn on the sound, there we go.
And many other products in your hands for your next cookout. Susan, yes, you've eaten them. They're amazing. Trust me, they're amazing. And you'll see just how amazing they are. So what I'm holding in my hand right now is the Blue Tick Bourbon Brats. And you can see on the screen right there that says Identifier 102. And for Identifier 102, that's going to get you 4 pounds of these brats sent to your door. They're amazing brats. They're going to be $69.99, and that may sound like a lot, right? $69.99 for 4 pounds of brats. But let me tell you about Booze Dogs. There's no.
Yeah, I'm just taking a second here to explain what's going on this page. So this guy is about to cook his Booze Dogs on his grill, and he is. You'll see on the screen that there's something that says comment sold 102. The technology that we use is from a company called Comment Sold, and it basically works with Facebook Live. So you don't have to do any integration or anything like that with your website. And the way people buy the product, believe it or not, as the host holds up the product and tells you what it is, the buyer goes into the comments on Facebook and types in sold 102 in this example. And that means that person has just bought that product using a comment on Facebook. From a technical perspective, it actually goes back to your website and sends a link in the Facebook to the credit card processing on your Shopify site or whatever site you're using, and does the transaction for you. So I'll go a little bit further into the show. You also can see the number of people that are active in this particular case. There's 48 people on this. This is the very first one last Thursday night.
If you want to try a burger, comment sold 108. Sticking with the bourbon again, 6 pounds of burgers. Comment sold 107. That's going to get all 6 pounds of burgers sent to you. But here's the thing. We don't just have burgers and brats. We also have hot dogs. Hot dogs. If you want to get the blue tick bourbon hot dog sent to you, all you got to do is comment sold 105. And you're going to be able to get those hot dogs sent to your house. They're going to be amazing.
So, any questions, thoughts on that from the group? One other thing that happens with the live streaming e-commerce, the company that provides this service, they will also build you an app for your product, so that once you build your audience on Facebook, you can then move them to your app, so you're no longer beholden to Facebook. You can get those folks to give them a special offer or something and get them to download the app on the App Store and go live on the app rather than on Facebook. So over time, you gain more control over what you're doing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some example, or an example of someone who has followed my advice. They didn't even know me. I just found this person, but it's a really good example of what I just went through on my slide. So we're going to go through these. So this is a company that makes goat's milk caramel. And you can see here, they are a member of the Vermont Specialty Food Association, very similar, I think, to the North Carolina. And she has, her listing here and so forth. And she has a link to her website, which happens to be a Shopify website. Okay, so you can see that she sells her products here. Pretty straightforward, not too complicated at all. So then let's see what she did with Amazon. So she actually has her own store on Amazon. So this is in addition to her Shopify site. This is her Amazon store. And you can kind of see how that works. Now, what's interesting about this, when I called the woman, the farmer, and asked her why she went to Amazon, thinking the typical answer would be because she thought she would make more sales there, she actually had a different answer. What she found is that in the food category, Amazon is often more of a destination for search than is Google. People use Amazon as a search engine. So her purpose in going to Amazon, yes, she makes sales on Amazon, but her primary motivation in the beginning was to get found, for her product to become discovered through this process. I thought that was really cool. Okay, so I'm going to have to, I don't know if this one will work. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Let me try going back. I'm going to have to, I think, sorry about this. I'm having a bit of technical detail here. Let me try it this way. Now, some of you may have noticed in a newsletter that went out from Sherry that an offer was being made for a company called Doorstep Market. So I wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like also. So like the Amazon store that we just looked at, this is Fat Toad Farm on Doorstep Market. And Doorstep Market is another place where you can list your products and also develop your brand and your story. I think you would agree this is pretty nice looking. And the way this works, you control all of this content. You post the pictures, you post the words. Everything you see here is under your control. And the other thing that's really cool about this is you get the email address and the customer transactions. The transaction actually processes through you, so you don't have to wait for a check from Doorstep Market. It's a direct to maker marketplace, unlike Amazon, unlike Etsy, and most of the others. And there's no limit to how many products you can put on. You could even, for example, put on merchandise, for example. You might want to have hats and shirts or other products you might sell. You can put them all on here. And there's no charge. It's a free service. There is a commission if you sell something, a 15% commission. But other than that, you're exposing your product to your products plural to a large number of potential buyers in a very well branded and a controlled by you platform, which I really like. I think that's cool. All right. So that's all I have for today. I've got my website. Our next class starts July 19th. It is online. You go to acceleraterural.org and you can sign up and apply for it. Like I mentioned, it's 1 hour a day, Monday through Thursday, usually at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's my contact information, if you want to get in touch with me. We have had really good luck in our class with getting people who were not online at all. Couple of quick stories. We have a farm called White's Farm, which is near New Bern. Been around for quite a while and a pretty big on-premise marketplace for strawberries and flowers primarily. They close up November 1st and they don't open again until mid-April normally. They launched their online store in November last year and ended up making sales all through the holiday season with products they had like strawberry jam and other packaged products. Of course, they didn't have any fresh stuff, produce or whatever. But instead of having zero revenue during that time period, they actually did very well and actually gained a bunch of new customers. We have a number of farms who've experienced that. We have another one called Garner Farm that's way out near Emerald Isle. Same sort of thing. They just went live with their store recently, having a lot of luck with that. And once they get their stores up and running, and the next step they take a look at is going live and scheduling regular shows on Facebook is another really good way to quickly grow your presence. And what we recommend with the live streaming is if you can find somebody who might be known in your area, it could be a local pastor, it could be a local politician, a mayor, an athlete, somebody you might know, get them to be your guest host and to have your event. And you can be on there with them, but somebody who might have some name recognition might help draw people, look for influencers in your category, see if they might be willing to be a guest host. It helps raise their awareness. It certainly helps raise yours. So all of these things that we're doing are designed to grow fast online, to really get things going online. We have a lot more that we cover, but this is kind of the highlights, is really get your own website, get on some marketplaces, use the free tools like Google and others. Go live on Facebook if you can, selling your products. And I think you'll build your audience much faster than traditional ways. And none of the things have a high cost associated with them. The most expensive thing in what I showed you today is the live streaming e-commerce. That's $150 a month for that program. That includes everything you need to go live. It also includes the development of an app that is yours on the Apple Store and on the Google Play Store. So I think that's a great deal. If you've looked into an app, you know that's an incredibly competitive price for an e-commerce enabled app. So that's it, what I have for today. Let me stop my share here, if I can do that. Let's see here. Okay, there we go.
You did, Dennis.
Hey.
I got to just say, this was awesome, man. What a treasure trove of tips and stuff that you have shared today. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome. What's really interesting from my perspective is the speed of audience development. I call it audience development. You'll call it customers. But basically, right. I'm not aware of any method out there that will grow your audience with the speed that these processes will do. I'll tell you a couple of stories real quick. So there is 3 old ladies, grandmothers in rural Wisconsin. They're 100 miles northeast of Green Bay, Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere. They set up live streaming for their quilting shop. They make quilts by hand. Their sales are now over 100,000 a month, and they have 15,000 followers on Facebook that tune in once a week to their shows, Quilting Grandmas, and it's insane. One other quick story that I think you all will laugh at. So the guy who sells this software and I've become pretty friendly. And he told me about this woman who was from rural Wisconsin. He doesn't even know where in Wisconsin. He said, you can't find it on a map. And she reached out to him and was inquiring about this, but was incredibly mean and rude and nasty to him. He could not understand what was going on. And she happened to have purple hair and a nose ring, right? So he was like, wow. So he decided to kind of stick with it just to see what happened. Turned out she'd been in a really bad abusive situation and all kinds of bad stuff. So he stuck with her, and she eventually came around, and they worked together. And she created a plant business that sells house plants and little shovels and rakes and all that kind of stuff. It's called the Red Shed. And so he set her up, and she was going to go live. She set up a table in her little store and had 2 or 3 of her friends around the table. So my friend said he tuned in to the first show, and everyone at the table had a bottle of beer, and they were drinking the beer, and everyone in the crowd was also drinking beer. And they started playing drinking games. They sold $20,000 worth of stuff during that show. And they've continued ever since. And it's crazy, the stuff that goes on. It's just countless examples of people. I think her population is somewhere around 25,000 people on her Facebook followers. So I've just never seen these tools, and they really work for small business. And one of the things that my class has told me is many of them got into doing this small business because they wanted to use their personality and use their belief. They didn't want to just be a number. You know, you look at Amazon, every single page on Amazon is identical because it's optimized for SEO or for robots to find it, not for people. So if you have the ability to connect with your customers and visit with them and talk to them and get to know them, it's really no different than having a retail store, except now you're global and you literally can build a global business online yet have your personality, your brand characteristics, your stories, all of that are possible for you. And so that has me really excited. I think small businesses are in for a gigantic bump with this pandemic and everyone deciding to go online, particularly in the food category. The world is your oyster, so to speak. And I encourage you all to give this a try. And if you need help, reach out to me. Sign up for our class. We're happy. We're not real formal. It is free. There is no homework. I will not do homework. I could never do homework when I was in school. It's pretty ironic. I'm now teaching, but that's the way it goes. My teachers would literally faint if they knew I was doing this. But anyway, that's my story.
Dennis, that is awesome. And I suspect we have some questions.
Okay.
And it does look like we had a couple come up. Let's see, the video component that Booze Dogs is using. What was the name of that? I know it'll come out.
It's called Comment Sold.
And you're going to send that, and we'll send that to everybody.
And if you reach out to them, you must use my name. You will get a hell of a deal. Promise you. And so don't reach out without me. It will cost you. And I don't get anything out of it. But the guy who runs the sales is a good friend, and he kind of looks out for our folks.
And it looks like we had another question come up. Do any of the marketplaces integrate with the Wix website platform and Shippo? Do you know anything about Wix and Shippo?
I do, and the answer is no, they don't.
Okay.
And let me just explain real quick. All of the marketplaces except Doorstep Market, you actually use their payments. It's not yours ever, no matter what. Okay, right. So Etsy, Amazon, you get your checks from them because they control the customer, they control the email, they control the payments. Doorstep is a little bit different in that they will allow you to use your own, but you must use PayPal. You have to use PayPal. It's not their PayPal, it's your PayPal. And it doesn't use anything else. They don't integrate with anything. But that's the only marketplace that I know of that you can actually use, get money directly to you rather than have it be curated by some large entity that's going to steal all your ideas.
Great. All right. Well, if I know some other folks have got to have some questions they need to get answered. If you want to, I think most everybody is muted. So if you feel more comfortable asking a question, you can click the unmute button, or you can type it in the chat, and we'll get that to Dennis and let him share his thoughts on that. Does anybody else have something?
This is Wayne at Joyfield Foods.
Hey Wayne, how are you, buddy?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Good. One of our students, one of our top students here.
That's right. And I just want to put a plug in for Dennis. He's great. I took this class in the spring, and I learned a lot. And my business has grown online. I'm dragging my feet on a couple of things I need to get done, but I'm trying to get some things set up within the business to give me more time to do the business side of things. So, but yeah, if y'all get a chance to take his class, Accelerate Rural, you really need to do it.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne is the embodiment of chief cook, bottle washer, and everything else. He literally does it all. How he even had time to come to class, I was always very impressed. Thank you, Wayne. I'll pay you later. I'll pay you later, buddy.
Hey, Dennis. Yeah, there was a question, and I don't, the link for Doorstep Market, can you share that?
Yeah.
I figured you could do it quicker than I could look it up.
It's actually doorstep.market.
Doorstep.market. Okay.
Yeah. And
we had someone ask about that.
Yeah, you want to go through me on that one too, because you'll get lost in space because they're all over the country and have thousands of people. But I'm doing consulting for them right now. I'm helping them. So if you're interested in that, definitely check me out. I'm not trying to make, it's just hard to get attention of these big organizations. And so what we try to do is aggregate who we are and what we're doing in order to get some attention. And they'll give you attention in the beginning and then they'll forget about you. That's been my experience. So we can help with that.
No, it's really valuable, Dennis, to have somebody who can at least point you in the right direction or get you to the right contact. I mean, the amount of time that you spend trying to navigate and find out who to talk to. I mean, you're offering, some incredible value just to short change all of that and get right to the right person. So
thank you. We have made a ton of mistakes.
Good.
Very good. A lot of this is, I am half Polish, so a lot of this is just literally trying stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So everything I've shared today is kind of where we are today in terms of what we've learned and what works. Not to say that it won't change, because I'm constantly looking for a better way forward to help. We here in North Carolina actually have the opportunity to be among the leaders in the nation, particularly in this specialty food category, which is super hot. And it's, you may not believe this, but one of the things I've spent a lot of time on is selling in China. We have a lot of experience with that and a lot of ways to do that. They told me, the Chinese guys told me, that the number one category for product sales in China to Chinese consumers is American specialty foods.
Wow.
Number one, right? And they love little makers, people who have a story. They can't stand American brands per se, big Kraft and Heinz and all that kind of stuff. So just to give you one statistic, in the United States, it's estimated we have around 250 million internet users. In China, the number is 930 million. Also in China, the number of what they call middle-class internet users, who are people who buy online, who we would consider middle class, that number is 375 million in China. So that's just a little insight into that. Just send emails to me. I'm seeing some of the questions. Send email to me. I will forward to Comments Sold or Doorstep with a warm introduction to the person you need to talk to. I'll copy you on the email. It won't do you any good to go direct, because it'll just go in a pile. Do it my way and you'll get attention, I hope.
We did have a question about recording of this. It'll take a little bit of time, but we will compile that, edit it, and if you've registered, we'll send a link to the email that you used when you registered. So you'll get a copy, place to download the slides, watch the video. I like to say shortly, because it does take a little bit of time to put the magic together. But
yeah,
so we did have that. And then somebody asked about a contact email. And Sherry put your email in there. So I'm sure if somebody reaches out to you to get them connected with Comments Sold, that you'll be able to take care of that. So
yeah, happy. Any questions, just reach out to me. And I'll do my best to help you any way I can.
Great. Well, does anyone else have a question on your mind that you want to get answers to? We've got the expert online. So I mean, I do have one I'll go ahead and throw out to you, Dennis, because one of the things that we get a lot of questions about is always a challenge when you are the chief cook, bottle washer, stamp licker, everything, as Wayne is this concept of social media. Do you have any just like general guidance for people on how to tame the tiger, or what to do when you have so many things to do that it just often seems like one more thing? So do you have any general guidance for folks?
I'll tell you what I do. Let me share the screen again here real quick. See if I can do this. Hold on one second. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we got it.
Okay, so we use something called Buffer, BUFFER.com. Buffer is free for up to 3 channels. If you want more than 3, you have to pay. And I don't know what it is. I don't think it's really expensive. But what you can see here is I've queued up a number of things that are going to go out on social media. So here's one, startup success, blah, 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 how to do international shipping, examples of Shopify stores that have been successful, yada, yada, yada. And you can schedule it way, way out. And what I do, which is lazy, I do the same graphic on everything. So here it is going to Twitter. Here it is going to LinkedIn. And here it is going to Instagram. All mine are the same because I'm lazy, but you could do different if you wanted to. But what I do is I find an article or a story or a blog, or I'll write a blog or whatever, and then I'll post it on Buffer. And then I forget about it, and it'll automatically post when you schedule it. So you can schedule a time, calendar, or they have something called a queue where you just put it in the queue and it figures out the best time to send the content. So my way of thinking, there's no reason not to use it because it is completely free. My problem with social media, I don't know if it works or not. I think that it's up to everybody to decide that. One of the things that I didn't talk about in this class is something I will in my next class. Instagram and Facebook both have announced basically free e-commerce stores that run inside their platform. So you can actually set up an Instagram store or a Facebook store with your product and sell directly on those channels. Everyone that I talk to tells me they sell 0 on that. But maybe that's just because it's new. I don't know. But those are other tools that you can check out. The Instagram store, it's very straightforward. I haven't really delved into it, but the feedback I get from a lot of people, and I work with a lot of people around the country like yourselves, they find that the time they spent on social media doesn't really help them that much. And I'll just give you a quick example. I mentioned the guy who came on to our class. Let me see if I can get his link up here. And this was really, really interesting to me. Okay, so it's called clickfirm.com. This is this guy, Warren Allen, who's in our area. And he had a very interesting perspective because we were asking him about social media. He said, what I try to do as a marketer is I try to get people much farther down the funnel than I find them in social media. And what he means by that is they're ready to buy. They're not searching, they're not learning, they're farther down the funnel, they're closer to a transaction. So what he told our class, and I think our class has discovered, if you use the Google tools, you will get people that are farther down the funnel. They're ready to buy. They're narrowing down their choices. They're not just idly looking and searching. So his point was, put your resources into later stage funnel work instead of the top of the funnel. Social media tends to be the top of the funnel. People are learning about you. They're discovering you. The live commerce thing could be a discovery thing. But this guy convinced me, based on what he had to say, that if you can get the person when they're closer to a purchase decision, you'll save a lot of time and effort. You can still do social media, you just use Buffer or something just to put it out there. But I have to say, it seems like the only people that win on social media is the actual social media companies, for the most part.
Wow, that's some great insight, Dennis. Thank you.
It's not me, it's Warren. He's unbelievable.
Oh man. Let's see. Do we have any other? Let's see. It does look like we have a couple of other questions that came up.
Oh, good. Somebody found another tool called Pop Shop. I see. That's great. I think, finding the concept is to go live and sell, right? It doesn't, to me, I don't care if it's common sold or something else. You have to find what's right for you. But I think that it's wonderful that people are finding alternatives. And I will look at Pop Shop Live. I think that's great.
We did have a comment from Mike just to everybody about linking from Shopify. You can link your product channels to Facebook and Instagram, tag products, and sell directly from the post. So Mike shared that with everybody.
Thanks, Mike. That's cool. Didn't know that. See, we learn something every day. It's kind of like Zoom, right? We figure all the little things we can do in Zoom every day.
Absolutely. That is the goal. Does anybody else have anything else they want to get answers to or put out there or share? Got a little bit of time left, but we want to make sure folks get
I think that
what they came for today.
One of the things that you might be wondering about is would an online accelerator help my business? And when we started, our initial grant from NC IDEA was for an in-person accelerator, and we were forced to transition to online because of the COVID. But what we discovered is, number one, we attract a lot more people because now they don't have to drive to Greenville. If you're in the Outer Banks, that's a few hours to get to Greenville. We also found that we were getting people from all over North Carolina, Asheville, Wilmington, all over the place. And the fact that it's, we record everything, we save it, you can go back and look at. Well, a lot of our people are obviously working full time, so they'll end up watching the video afterwards. We put it on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We actually stream our class live to YouTube at the same time as we do it on Zoom. So we get tremendous amount of use of both YouTube and our posted recordings of Zoom for people who either missed the class or maybe they wanted to watch it again to get something that they wanted, for them specifically. I think an online accelerator actually works much better than an in-person one, in my experience, what we've seen since we've been doing it. So I encourage everybody to give some thought to that. And even if you can't make every class, I promise you'll get something that will help you grow.
It's interesting, Dennis, because we've wrestled with that at Specialty Foods, where we used to have our in-person conferences, and of course COVID put the brakes on that. The good news is for the conference that we did last summer and then this series is that it does allow people, as you said, to come from remote areas who it would be difficult to drive 4 hours or for a one-day conference. So we're hoping that that folks are finding value, and again, we're putting the slides out there in the recording, so if folks can't attend, they'll be able to circle back, and so we're trying to have the same experience that you've just described.
Yeah, good. We are, we're planning to become maybe a little bit hybrid in the future. We will do some live, particularly if we have a really great guest speaker we want a bunch of people to see in person. Like we had the CEO of Burt's Bees. He was fantastic. Talked about e-commerce, unbelievable. We had the CEO of Etsy. We get a lot of really named guest speakers. We also have 35 mentors that are really interested in helping rural communities. And these are all friends of mine, people that I've worked with over the years and are willing to put up with me. They know me, but they are really unbelievable. Some of these folks have really gigantic careers, and it's almost embarrassing for me to ask them, hey, can you help this little little guy? But they love it. They love it. And because they've been in the ivory tower so long, they've been kind of removed from the real world. They love doing this stuff. And so we'll do some live stuff, but we'll always record and do remote as well. Because of our population, North Carolina is a big state, and a lot of the people that we're trying to reach, it's just not convenient to come to Greenville, and we understand that.
All right. Well, I'm looking at the chat box. I don't see anything coming up, and I'm gonna. Oh, I did have somebody pop in about the Pop Shop Live app, so
Good.
you can download that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, the other thing I want to make one comment about that. So, you're going to always find different ways to do things. And I think if you start thinking of yourself, and this is going to be an academic word, I apologize, but if you think of yourself as an omni-channel merchant, you're an omni-channel merchant or maker. You're not a single channel. You're not just your website. You're not just social media. There is nothing stopping you from going live on Pop Shop Live and Comment Sold and maybe 10 others, right? As time goes on. It just depends who your audience is and where they are. So don't get too wrapped around the axle around any particular solution. Think more of yourself as an omni-channel person, meaning all channels, and give all channels a try. You got farmers markets, there's lots of different channels, but don't get locked into something just randomly. You use data, figure out what works, what doesn't work, get rid of the stuff that doesn't work, and do more of the stuff that does.
I think back to a line that one of my mentors said to me many years ago that I've always loved, and he still shares it to this day. He said, "Chris, if you want to be a success, make it as easy as possible for people to give you money." And I think that's to play off on your omni-channel idea. I think that's what you want, is you want to make it as easy as possible for people to pay you.
Chris, that reminded me, I have one thing I've got to show this group, and I make no money off this, but this is awesome. Hold on one second here.
Sure.
I totally forgot. It was our guest speaker on Thursday. This is a great story. So let me just do this real quick. And everyone has to do this. You're crazy if you don't. Okay. So one of the big problems that we have run into is how slow everyone's website is, particularly on mobile. So one of our companies, our most successful company in terms of sales, 94% of all transactions on their website come from phones, not from web browsers on computers. And her website was so slow that people were dropping off and not buying, is costing you sales. The solution for that, without getting into the weeds technically, has been $50,000 to $100,000 in order to speed your site up to the level of an Amazon or an Etsy or whatever. So these two guys just graduated in May from NC State. One is from Goldsboro, one's from Mount Olive, near and dear to our hearts. They have created a product called Patio, P-A-D-E-O. It's patio.io is the website. And what's really crazy about this, it's a really low cost. It actually is a tool that it loads a speed enhancer into every web browser that visits your site. I know that sounds crazy, but it's essentially just a one line of code. And what it does is it dramatically increases the load time of your site, like insane. It really works. And let's see if we can see an example here. Did you see how fast that loaded? Did you all know? Here, let me show you again. Are you seeing that? That's instant, right? Those pages are loading instantly. Has nothing to do with my internet connection. Nothing whatsoever. It has to do with this little tool they have. So you can add it. It's $19 a month for this tool, but if you contact me, it's $9 a month. He made a deal for our student of $9 a month. But this speed is just so awesome. And this is how it works on your phone as well. It'll load instantly. So I highly, highly, highly recommend Patio. They're two kids just graduated in May from NC State. They want to work with small businesses. They have a background in agriculture. So I did want to make sure that I shared that with patio.io. And reach out to me and I'll give you the code that I'm not supposed to give to anyone except people who are related to my accelerator. And you are now, by extension, you are now part of our accelerator.
I just put a link in the chat box to Dennis for everybody. If you want to check your website, I don't know if you've used GT Metrics, but that's a great speed check site that will analyze your site. And what you can do there is use GT Metrics to look at yours and then look at other websites, and it will give you the ugly truth.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It even gives you a grade, A through F. So a little bit of school flashback for you there, but it's a really solid site that you can use to measure the speed in all different areas of your website.
Fantastic. I've loaded into chat the page that all of the developers use, and it's called Page Speed Insights. It's from Google. It's free.
Yeah,
it will show you. It'll give you a grade, but it will also show you what parts of your website are slowing you down, so you can actually take action. It'll also show you what it looks like on mobile and what it looks like on a web browser. So we use that one quite a bit as well. But thank you for the lead on GT Metrics as well.
We did have one, maybe this will be our last question we take. It's from Lisa. It says, if you were to do just one of these, which would you start with? And I'm guessing maybe some of the ideas that you've thrown out there, Dennis. I don't know if you can even answer that.
Yeah, I would go on a marketplace that doesn't require that you have a website. If you want to get with it right now and start selling, you can go to Doorstep, you can go to Amazon, you can go to Etsy. I would try to get your electronic channel going, even if you're not ready to really build your own website. It sounds counterintuitive, but you can start making sales online. You can start developing. It's a little bit complicated to get the customer information, except for Doorstep, you get the actual email of the customer, but the other ones you don't. But at least you can start without, it's very low threshold, in many cases, $0 up front. You will pay a commission. Usually it's about 15%. Amazon's a little bit more, I think. But that would be the first thing I would do.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, at that, I'm going to be respectful of everybody's time. It's 1 o'clock, and we're going to, again, just offer up some incredible thank you, Dennis, to all the nuggets that you've shared today. I mean, there's a lot of gold in here, and we really appreciate your taking time to share that. And I will have your slides. Was there anything else you wanted me to send to folks? You send me the slide deck. Does that have everything in that we need?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. And if there's anything else that people need, they can reach out to me. Don't hesitate to go to accelerateworld.org. One of the things we have on that site that would be helpful is called member resources, which is you don't need a login or anything, but we have a tremendous amount of material that you can access, all kinds of how to do certain things, how to take product photography, how to use YouTube, all kinds of stuff that's on that site, accelerateworld.org.
That's awesome. All right. Well, again, thank you very much. Thanks for everyone for attending. And I hope you found this hour to be as helpful as certainly I did. We'll send you some links, some recordings, and some other things. And hopefully we'll circle back with you again in the future, Dennis. Thank you so much.
Love to help any way I can. Thank you all. Sign up for my class. Bye, everybody.
All right. We'll see you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.